Hi, welcome back to our discussion on empathy and leadership and just how important it is to practice EQ through the lens of empathy. Empathy is the thing that allows you to use your EQ to actually be that kind of transformative and charismatic leader. And is that important? It's more important now than it's ever been. So I spent the last videos talking a little bit about my journey and what's brought me to this place. And I think it is important because I think if anybody expects to trust me and why I know what I'm talking about, you kind of have to know my history and to know that I'm very serious about this. This isn't a fluffy puppies and rainbows, though we like empathy kind of thing. This is empathy, and EQ will be the thing that will define the leaders of the future. And I do believe that. I absolutely believe that. So let's dig in just a little bit deeper. Keeping in mind that I don't just say that for people who are currently leaders. I want to reach them because they're the ones that affect the most people with their decisions. But this is for everybody. This is for the up-and-coming leaders. This is for the managers. This is for the people that deal with leaders and maybe deal with unempathic leaders. This is for someone who just wants to be a better leader of themselves or lead their family or their community. This is something for everyone. Everyone. So first of all, I spent the other video talking about my history. Let's talk a little bit more about my actual credentials. All right? When I say I've had over 30 years of leadership experience, I mean I've worked my way through the ranks. I've worked in academia. I've worked in nonprofit and for-profit. I've led colleagues. I've led students. I've led peers. I've spearheaded initiatives and major projects. And I understand the difficulties of being a leader. Sometimes the people that don't bear the responsibility of being a leader don't understand just how heavy it is. And that you do care about your people, but it gets overwhelming. I mean, you're beholden to everybody from the board to your people to your direct reports and ultimately to your customer. So no one's saying this is easy. I'm not even saying that's easy just to employ empathy. I'm saying it's absolutely necessary because we deal with people. And as leaders, people should be our primary concern. And if they're not, the business will suffer. And this isn't just some HR line. It's the truth. You are dealing with people. This is aside from HR. This has nothing to do with HR. This is leadership. Leadership is an action, not a position. How important is this to me? How serious am I? What kind of investment have I made to be the empathy lady? Well, I'm serious enough to bring 30 plus years of leadership experience to the fore. I'm serious enough to pursue a second doctorate in interdisciplinary leadership with a dissertation focus on empathy and leader, specifically so I could dig in and research this. That's how dedicated I am to this. That's how important I think it is. Serious enough that I went and got an MBA and a Master's of Data Analytics so that I can back up my arguments with data-driven proof and sound business cases. Because if I can't make a business case for why this is important, then ignore me. That puts me in the realm of self-help. There's nothing wrong with self-help, but it's not what I do. I fix businesses through their leadership. I'm serious enough to bolster all of this with extra certifications that I didn't need to get, but I wanted the information in change management, in DE&I, through HR. I want to know what these people are saying and how they're saying it so that I understand how to address it with leadership or how leadership can address it with me. I want it all put in a box with a big bow on it so that I can actually talk intelligently with my leaders about it and find actionable solutions. Add to this decades of experience as a coach, and what I bring to the table is the perfect blend to counsel both current and emerging leaders in navigating these waters. And I'm not talking about taking a test and getting a score. I would, in fact, be very, very careful of those. I'm not saying they're wrong, nor am I saying they're ineffective. What I am saying is that what my research has shown me is that there's 47 different kinds of empathy that have been condensed down into 8 buckets. Can you tell me which of these things these tests score? And to top it off, wherever there's a system, there's going to be someone who's going to figure out how to manipulate it. Not that most leaders would do that, but some would. So what does all this mean? Let's put it all together. It means I know what it is to work as a leader, and I know what it is to work with leaders. I have the hard data and the research backing, not to just guess that this is important, but to know this is important. I am heading in the right direction. And those with foresight can see it too. I'm a passionate advocate because, as I put out in my first video, I know firsthand how damaging this can be. And it isn't just the malicious or the evil, which is very much in the minority. I actually believe most people are good. But sometimes it's just the clueless, and they do enough damage on their own. Although some of my story did have people in it that were borderline malicious, and like I said, if someone told me tomorrow they were actually diagnosed narcissistic and psychopathic, I wouldn't be surprised. Those aren't the people I'm trying to reach because they don't have any empathy. Does it work any better as a leader to just be considered ineffectual? To just be considered clueless, tone deaf? I would actually argue that those leaders may actually do more damage. Because if someone is malicious enough, eventually the system will pry them out. If you're just ineffectual and clueless, you just kind of keep doing low-grade damage, which also hurts the business. It hurts the organization. So what do I hope to do with these 2 videos? Because they are a little different from what I usually do, and next week we'll go back to the normal. I hope to reach the people that it needs to. I hope that eventually someday people in leadership positions will think of me as the empathy lady, and that I'll be the one to actually bring a little bit of light to this subject for people that need it, whether they realize it or not. We've been throwing about the whole EQ thing since 1990. The first article that mentioned emotional intelligence was printed in 1990. And we still don't seem to have a handle on it. I hope that maybe even those that aren't leaders yet, or haven't even considered being leaders yet, will help me make them into the best possible transformational and charismatic leaders that the world needs. So if you think for even a second that that might be you, contact me. Think of it this way. What would happen if everybody in the world increased their empathy by 10%? Just 10%. And as such, we're able to touch their EQ skills 10% more. That's it. Can you imagine the ripple effect that would have? Now, I understand that's a little more into the puppies and rainbows, idealistic side of things, but think about it for a second. Because as a leader, if you apply 50% more empathy to your people, how do you think that ripple effect works? And don't leave it to somebody else. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when?